On this episode, we talked to Brad Mooney and Josh McGraw from Eastbrook Homes about the rising lumber costs and what that means when you're trying to build a new house. Hope you dig the podcast. And my guests, as I said, Brad and Josh from Eastbrook Homes. Gentlemen, how are you guys today?
We are great. How are you?
I am excellent, Brad. Thank you for asking. And so we are talking today, and Brad, we'll start with you, about the rising lumber costs. I'm sure people have seen this either in their news feed or on TV, like the cost of lumber is skyrocketing, but without context, that doesn't really make a lot of impact on a human being. So can you give me a little bit of context as to what this rising lumber cost means insofar as building a home? Or Josh, I'll ask you this second, if you wanted to fix something up around your home to get in line behind the contractor. So Brad, I'll start with you. What does this actually mean?
Well, this means, not just the rough lumber for the house, but deck material also, which is used, and this is making the hard cost of the home go up $10,000 to $15,000. So It's been a significant impact at making almost the lumber budget double.
Wow. And so, Josh, as people are trying to plan for this, how do they, as a consumer, navigate this with Eastbrook Homes? Because they enter, let's say, thinking it's going to be one thing, and these costs are skyrocketing. And one of the things you guys pride yourself on is none of that stuff, none of those, as you would call it, shenanigans at the end. So, what does that look like for a consumer?
Well, for a consumer, for us, in the end, once that contract is written, once that final price is there, those prices are locked, whether those lumber costs go up or not. In the end, once that contract is written, the number is the number unless you decide to make changes.
Sure.
So therefore, when that lumber cost does go up over the next weeks, months, we still hold that price. So in the end, Eastbrook guarantees that number no matter what in the end for the rising costs that are coming upon us. So buyers are a lot better to be acting now. The costs we don't see coming down. There's more to this, and that rising rate is continuing. The backside, they have great rates to work with. So as far as lenders go, so there's some good stuff there too.
There is that, and Brad, you and I were talking before the podcast about the end of this and how we don't really know, because to Josh's point earlier, it's a supply and demand issue, and of course there's a finite amount of resources. And so as people are trying to make sense of, should I build right now, Brad, what would you tell them?
Well, currently we are strictly in a rising market, and when we look at the outside influences, there's wildfires on the West Coast. There's uncertainty in our global economy. Demand has been tremendous. If anybody's following the news, sales over the last 3 months have been unheard of. And so, until there is a change in the market, those costs are going to continue to go up. And it's not only the cost, it's the availability.
Sure.
It's, I think there's a smaller availability of products, but it's also a smaller availability of lots and land available to build on.
Absolutely. And, Josh, we spoke in the last episode, not you and I, but specific to Eastbrook, about if you're kind of on the fence as to build or fix, that fixing might become hyper problematic in an economy like this, because the people who are building homes kind of get first crack. The contractors get first crack at all of that lumber, of which we have a finite resource, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is the case. Those that are trying to do remodels, trying to fix up their home, it is much harder on them, not alone to get the materials, but just to find the labor. Those guys are being out there used by the builders, and it's tough to find somebody to do the work. And those that you are finding to come and do the remodels, their rates have gone up tremendously.
My question is, when we look at a market like this, so you've had, and we've talked about this on these podcasts, tremendous interest in homes. As you said, a record number of people want to build or buy or sell homes. So the market is crazy, meeting with a demand of lumber, and not enough lumber to do that. Have you seen a market like this before?
No, I've been tracking lumber for Eastbrook for about 20 years now. So I have all that data going back week after week. And so, I look at both lumber and OSB, what we use as plywood, people might
Sure.
call it. So lumber as a whole, it's at an all-time high as far as I've ever seen it. And I've been in the industry over 40 years and tracking lumber specifically for over 20 and have never seen anything like this.
And so I won't ask you to bring out your crystal ball, but you do have 2 decades of data that you've looked at. In your estimation, where in the trajectory do you think we are right now as far as the market goes? Because that's going to be people's first question. Josh, you said now is the time, but let's use some data to kind of cement around that. There are people that are being like, I'll wait it out, and then there'll be the lumber fairy will show up, and that'll fix that part of the problem, and we'll work on another problem, right? So, Brad, if you're looking at that data, where do you think, and again, I won't hold you to this, but where do you think we are in that upward climb?
I think we are nearing the peak. It doesn't mean that it's going to come back down, but I think it may start to level off. It's kind of always hard when you're talking about all-time highs.
Sure.
And, and say, well, how high will it get? And week after week, it's a new all-time high. And next report, it's another new all-time high. So, I'm seeing a little bit of slowing in the ascent, but I haven't seen really anything that's turned and made it, give me an indication that it's going back down.
Yeah, I'd echo that, Brad. I think you're right. I think it's more, if any, a flattening rather than coming back down. Because in the end, the demand is still there. The supply is still going to be low. You can only, take those rates up so much. But, now I say that the time is now to buy. That has something to do with the rates too.
Sure, yes.
The rates do look like they're going to stay low. But in the end, right now, when you can get a 30-year for some of them are 2.9 for a 30-year. That can't stay around forever. Eventually, those will have to come up as well. Although from who we talk to and the lenders we use and getting their knowledge and their history, they say it should hold for another good time. But that again is your crystal ball that nobody can say is fully clear.
That was the most stock marketing answer I've ever. It should hold for a good time. You guys can guess what a good time is, but it's going to hold for a good time. So, Josh, people have been watching or consuming these podcasts in some way, shape, or form, and they're interested in talking to you guys about what the next step is. So what would that look like? So what should they do first? Where should they go, and how should they act?
If you're talking about trying to find a home, it's personal. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? Where do you want your family to be? We have locations throughout the Grand Rapids, Lakeshore, Lansing area. So it's a personal choice. So I'd start there. Where's my location? What am I really looking for? We've seen some more sprawl as far as people's ability to move a little further than what they normally would have said is their sphere of where they want to live based on being able to work remotely. But it's starting with that. Where do you want to live? Is it a school district that you want to be in? I'd start with those and move from there into then those specific communities that are in the location that you want to be. It's really location.
Awesome. And then, so what would be their next steps? They find out where they want to go, and now they want to enter into conversation with you guys about how to build and when to build and how long it will take and da-da-da-da-da-da. Can you walk me through what that looks like?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a very experienced sales team. We also have an online sales team too. I would suggest they run to the eastbrookhomes.com website, take a look at what we have to offer as far as the homes available. And then they can speak with one of our online representatives as a great way to go to gain a lot more information. They can really help you to narrow down, where's a good community for you based on your budget, based on your wants and desires. And from there, they then set you up with one of our really experienced sales team members to then meet with you, go through the home plans, make sure that you're really getting what you need for your lifestyle and again, your budget.
Awesome. Brad, Josh from Eastbrook Homes. As always, you can find them at eastbrookhomes.com. Gentlemen, get back to work because I'm sure you have plenty of stuff to do that doesn't involve talking to me about lumber. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.